The big question was, where do I start with the load data? And obviously I went, since the bullet manufacturer recommends using load data for lead bullets, I went right to the Lyman source. And under 9mm here, they have a number of loads that appeared they might be close. You know, they have a round nose 120 grain lead bullet that they listed at an overall cartridge length of 1.065. They had data in here for N340 as well, which you can briefly see there. And they suggested with that overall length of 1.065 inches, 1.169 is the maximum overall length for 9mm Parabellum. They suggested a starting load of 4 grains. They also have here a 125 grain, what looks like it's kind of a conical pointed bullet that is down there as well. And that one they specified a maximum overall cartridge length of 1.115 and a starting of only 3.6 grains. But and that was with N340. But I wasn't really honestly comfortable with either of those. I really didn't have a sense for looking at the round nose bullet, Lyman bullet at 120 grains, how much difference the extra 5 grains for 125 grain blue bullet would make. So I was uncomfortable with that. The conical pointed bullet had it specified a different overall length, and the fact that it has a different profile than my round nose blue bullet, I wasn't quite comfortable with that either. So what I ended up doing is going to the powder manufacturer's website and downloaded the PDF copy of their reloading guide, if we can see that there. And turning to the 9mm section there, they really didn't have a lot of data on lead bullets, at least not round nose red bullets. But what I did find that I thought was close was a 124 grain Rainier bullet, which you see highlighted in yellow. I'll kind of read it off to you. They specified an overall cartridge length for this of 1.142 inches and a starting load for N340 powder of 4.7 grains, maximum load of 5.1, and that should achieve a velocity ranging from 1,077 feet per second on the starting load up to as high as 1,152. Now it's not a pure a lead bullet. It's not technically, as I recall, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, it's not technically a jacketed bullet. I recall the Rainiers, although they're out of business now, being a plated bullet. And my thought was that a plated bullet is softer, should have less friction in the barrel than a jacketed bullet, so perhaps that was close to an equivalent bullet that would be uncoated lead. So I actually started with the blue bullet load. I'm looking at the overall cartridge length, a minimum overall cartridge length of 1.142. Some of the other things we learned in the process is, just how much variation we're getting on the overall cartridge length coming off the press. So I actually made the decision to start loading these for a nominal cartridge overall length a little bit higher, of 1.150. And that allowed me a little bit of room for some of the variation on the press that, I was pretty confident I would never be under 1.142, and I actually measured every round off the press to make sure. So we decided to start with the 4.7 grains. I did not, wasn't brave enough to go all the way on a ladder scale up to the 5.1, but I loaded essentially 3 batches. A charge of 4.7 grains, a charge of 4.8 grains, and a charge of 4.9 grains. And that's what you'll see tested on the chrono results here. And we're going to test them across 3 different Glocks. of different barrel lengths, a Glock 43, as well as a Glock 19, actually a Gen 3 Glock 19, and a Glock 34. One item I have not talked about is the once fired factory cases that I was using. I made no attempt to trim those to length. I did sample the measurements on them to see how much they varied from spent case to spent case. But although the loading book tends to say, talks in here about trim to length and trimming your brass, talking to others, I don't find anybody in the practical shooting sports doing that. Maybe for bullseye or some of the more accurate focus competitions, people are doing that. But so if you have some thoughts on that as well, I'd welcome hearing about them. And